Hi, everybody. Joe Gehring from Anderson Trucking. I wanted to welcome you back to ATS Live, Ask Us Anything. We actually went back on our calendars today, and we realized that we started this in the middle of March. So this is actually our 25th consecutive week of hosting these ATS Live sessions to allow us to basically have an open forum to have our current drivers and prospect drivers present any questions they have for us. And it's been actually going really, really good. So tonight, first off, I always like to just say thank you to all of our active drivers that are joining the live session. It takes a few seconds for everybody to get turned in and tuned in. And so I'm going to start a little bit slower today. But again, I always appreciate our active drivers that are joining the live session. Samantha, hello. Robbie, thanks for joining us. So tonight, we are going to talk about, it's kind of a funny topic, but it's surprising that not every driver would want to know this. It's really what our company is looking for in drivers, and what are the common mistakes that are made to where a driver becomes less attractive to a premier carrier like an Anderson Trucking Service. So tonight we're just going to talk very candidly because the bucket is pretty small. There's really about 5 or 6 primary things that if you really kind of stay focused on, that if you pay attention to it, it's going to help you in really landing that career job, not just the next job, but the career job. And really quick, Samantha, I always like to introduce you real quick. So I've got some help in the back. Tonight, we had a fleet manager that was lined up to join us this evening, and something came up last minute, so you're stuck with me by myself. But Samantha's going to help me with the technology stuff on the back end. But this is going to go really slick. Cassidy, thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing tonight? Paul, thanks for joining tonight as well. David, so I like to just kind of take my time to let you guys kind of trickle in here a little bit. Well, like I said, we thought that this was going to be a pretty interesting, and you guys kind of put up with me a little bit because I'm trying to look at the comments that are coming through on the one side. But listen, so really, what is a carrier looking for? And hey, Luis, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for joining us. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. And we're going to just keep, Amy, nice to see you. We love having you drive for ATS. And you guys that are coming on by, Eric, nice to see you. Like I said, we got quite a few folks that are popping in here right now. But listen, for my active drivers at ATS, please speak up here a little bit today, because I think you guys are going to really sense that you understand what we're talking about. Because if you're already with Anderson Trucking, you've gone through our orientation process, you've been working with our fleet management group, and I think that a few of the things that I'm going to be talking about you guys are going to back me up 100% that it's absolutely the things that you need to be paying attention to. So Chad, welcome back again, my friend. I always appreciate you coming on board. So let's talk about number one. If you're really an experienced driver who's looking for that next career move, let me kind of preference this a little bit. I believe that there's basically 2 types of drivers that are out there. There's the driver that needs that job now, and you've got the driver that really takes their time to do their homework, and they're looking to make a career move. And I'm really going to stress that the driver that takes their time, I would rather wait a month or 2 or 6 to have a driver join ATS versus the driver who decided to quit because they're upset and they're just looking for that next job for the next paycheck. You know what? That's not the right way to do it. We understand that you need to find the next job, but even if you're an active driver and you're actively driving for a company that you're not planning on leaving, it's probably always smart to have kind of a backup plan. And what kind of research have you done to know what other carriers and what other kind of programs are out there? Basically seeing a lot of banter going on that I don't need to respond to, but Jonathan and Paul, appreciate you guys going back and forth. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to let the hellos keep on coming through. So I'm going to jump on to number one. I'm going to have to say that the biggest thing that we probably disqualify drivers for is for the amount of jobs that they've had. The job hopping, it's a really concern. You've got to be able to, the carrier and the driver have got to be able to find that working room in between to where you shouldn't quit just because you're upset over a load dispatch that you just got put on, or whatever the thousand reasons are, communication is second to none. And we do understand that there are some carriers out there that you just really need to leave. But in general, when you're out there and you've got your Class A CDL for 5, 6, 7 years, even a full year, when you make a selection to go to a carrier, you should really be committed to saying, whatever happens, I'm going to give this company a full year. And if you're not ready to really do that, it probably means that you didn't do the second most important thing, which is do your research. So job hopping kind of goes hand in hand with where I'm going to go next. But you really want to make sure that you've done your homework. You've gone out and looked at reviews. You've attended things like what we're doing right now, ATS Live. You're on Facebook. You're going to the groups and talking to the drivers that are working for ATS. Or the carriers that you're looking for. I'm talking more in general today. That it's extremely important that you really do take the time to know who the carrier is, take the time to talk to their drivers. I mean, pull them over at a truck stop when you see them at a shipper. You guys, social media is crazy. You guys can find a driver from any carrier at any time. So take the time to do that. I got to make sure I'm not falling behind on comments here, but So at the end of the day, let me kind of go back. The job hopping and moving jobs too many times is probably the number one thing that gets in the way of drivers coming to ATS. And I'm going to get into the secondary things, but again, I'm really trying to stress the importance of when you go to a carrier, stay with them long enough to show your commitment to try to work through problems. And if it doesn't work out after a year, leave. But at least it shows that you're not going to quit over any little things that comes up within the operation of what you're doing. And again, it could be fleet management, it could be truck breakdowns, it could be home time, it could be pay. There's so many reasons that drivers quit today. And you guys have heard over the last 25 weeks of us talking about this. We talk a lot about our three-legged stool. We know pay is important. We know that making sure that we meet home time requests is absolutely important. And then talking with our drivers with respect, we're never going to fade away from that. And you're going to see that our commitment to that is probably why we attract the drivers that we have and why the drivers that we've attracted stay with ATS. So for you guys that are out there, I'm going to basically ask you if you've got questions, throw them my way. So I'm going to just kind of keep going through my list a little bit. Yeah, and Jonathan, thank you very much for that. Because honestly, I think you all agree. I'm going to make a pretty direct statement, but I can't see how I'd be off on this. Every time a driver has to change jobs, it's expensive. It's a hard thing to do. You've really got about a 2-week gap that you're giving up. You're turning in your truck, you're traveling to orientation, you're attending orientation, and then before you're out there making money again, you've really got basically a 2 to a 3 week gap. So without a doubt, Jonathan, I agree. Take the time to get to know the company. We're big on reviews. We've got something that we're doing, and I hope you guys start watching this as time goes on. But we're going to start doing a lot of articles and doing some blogging on just general topic discussions of content of what drivers should be looking for. It might be about eating and how you stay healthy out on the road. There are so many things that you guys have got to deal with when you're out there on the road that we're going to start actually having a resource center that apply to any driver. We don't care if it's an Anderson driver, it can be a competitor's driver. It's really just something to really try to help educate the professional commercial drivers that are out there right now. So again, I'm going to go to a couple other points. So one of the big things that a carrier like us are looking for, we're looking for stability. We're looking for drivers. Everybody knows that we don't train. We train flatbed drivers to become flatbedders, but that's a driver coming with experience. But we're not training a brand new CDL driver. And so when we're looking at applications and we're deciding if we've got some empty trucks that we need to have new professional drivers joining us with, biggest thing we're going to look at is what drivers have shown us the best tenure, that have shown that commitment, that they've stayed with carriers, they put in the time. Because when we see a driver that's made 4 or 5 or 6 job changes in the last year, that tells us that we're probably the next on the list. And if you remember me saying earlier, there's typically 2 types of drivers making a job change. You've got the driver who needs the job, and you've got the driver who's looking at better options to advance themselves. And those are the ones that take their time. Again, it might be a couple of weeks, it might be a couple of months, but they're not just making a random decision or a knee-jerk decision to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a try. I think my entire recruiting group will tell you that we don't like that word, give it a try. We want that commitment, and from your commitment to us, we are going to do everything to basically commit to that commitment back to make sure we set you up for success. So the job hopping is probably one of the big ones. Surprisingly, one of the top ones is also truck abandonments and discharges. When drivers decide to leave another company and not return the equipment the way they need to, and the company needs to go recover that truck, that's probably one of the worst no-nos that's out there today. For us, it's a 3-year disqualification, and multiples could be a permanent disqualification. And Amy and Eric, I'm going to come back and read those really quick. And again, actually, Samantha, do me a favor. If there's, kind of read through those. A couple of those are a little bit longer for me while I'm chatting, but let me know if there's something that you could help me cliff note I'm responding to, okay? But yeah, Amy and Eric, I appreciate your comments that are out there. The truck abandonments and discharges, you guys, you'd be surprised, frankly, how many of those we get. We will have drivers that are in our orientation, and we'll stress, hey, make sure you turn your truck in properly. We'd rather have you wait a week to make sure you have the time to do that. But they'll get here and it's like they don't know we're going to get a work verification that says that the truck had to be recovered, and then we gotta, put them on a Greyhound bus, and there's no value to anybody for that. So the number one was the job hopping. Number two I was talking about was the truck abandonments and the discharges. One of my recruiters sent me a note saying that she really recommends that you guys really keeping an eye on your own commercial or consumer reports. Get with your DMV, know what's on file for you guys, know what's been reported for accidents, know what's been reported for suspensions, know what's been reported for moving violations. There are so many things that can get in the way of you being able to come on board. So your MVR is one thing that you have access to. Your PSPs for your roadsides, for any kind of warnings you've got. Those consumer reports are the number one thing that any recruiting department is going to look at. They're going to look at your application. They're going to get your work verifications back. But before they do anything, the first thing they jump out and do is pull your MVR, your PSP. They're going to pull your SID list to just know how many places that you've had a commercial license in. And they're going to run background checks. That's what these releases are all about. So we can get that information back properly. And bottom line, so Paul and Robbie and Don, appreciate you guys kind of going back and chatting while I'm going forward here, but I'm not really seeing a question out there yet.
They're answering the questions for you.
And you guys, you're rock stars. My recruiting team is about the best that can ever be asked for. So basically, Paul and Robbie, if there's something out there, just call it out. But I'm going to kind of get through this list because a lot of times we do these live sessions and the main topic of discussion, sometimes we don't fully get to the end of it. So I appreciate all of you guys helping me out with some of the questions that are coming out there. And for you guys that are just listening, go to the comments. I always try to bring up to where the more questions you guys have got, we want those challenging questions. I'm going to tell you right now, we're not looking to repeat ourselves week after week. We want every week to take us to a new level, and that's why we actually have the different topics every week. So we talked about job hopping. We talked about truck abandonments and terminations. Now we're talking about know your record. Take the time, probably once a quarter at the worst, maybe once a month even. But if you don't go in on a regular basis to know what's on your consumer reports, that's not very wise, because there are things that are being reported that you may not know about. We get a lot of drivers that absolutely, some of them know about it and they're just not talking straight. But there are some drivers we actually believe that did not know that something hit their suspensions, for example, for child support or an expired license, whatever it may be. So just really take the time to make sure that you're getting to know what's on your consumer reports. And I'm gonna, know what you're looking for. This is a really hard one, but when you're looking at a new carrier, exactly what you should have an idea of what your advancement plans are, what you want the next 2 to 5 years look like. We know that you can go out there and operate a tractor trailer and you can go operate that truck over the road, but every one of you has got personal goals that you want to achieve. At ATS, we can't be prouder of the career path and the opportunities that you have here. On our flatbed specialized side, we talk a lot about being able to grow from basically a 5-axle tractor trailer combination all the way up to a 19-axle combination. That's a pretty big growth stint. So clearly the open deck where you're getting over dimensional and adding the axles, you're going to have the greatest opportunity for career growth. But even on our van side, listen, you guys, the type of freight that we're running out there, we're starting to get into things like Department of Defense freight, some of these dedicated runs, these kind of dedicated lanes. We're looking for the elite drivers to really fill those spots, trying to build teams to handle stuff like for the aerospace industry and so forth. So when you're looking at that next, if you're going to make a move, if you're leaving your current carrier, ask yourself, really, what do I want? Be honest with yourself about home time. If for a carrier like Anderson Trucking, every recruiter that we have here, one of the first things we're going to talk about is, what are your home time expectations? Because think about that 3-legged stool. We're always focusing on your pay. We're always going to make sure that we're going to always meet your home time requests and treating with your respect. You've heard us say this multiple times. Well, if you tell us a home time expectation that we know that we can't meet, immediately that's a red flag. And so just be very honest about what you're really looking for. Don't just look for that next job. Make sure that the carrier you're going to is going to really meet those, I would call them non-negotiables. I think it's really important to use a couple of words to what's negotiable and what's non-negotiable. And sometimes it's okay to give a little bit if you find out there might be some more money coming that direction. So again, just know what your negotiables and non-negotiables are. Sam, is there anything up there? I'm just falling a little bit behind on a couple of the comments.
Nope, you're good to go.
We're good?
The recruiting team's doing well.
Okay, well, recruiting group, just want to say thank you very, very much. I got so many fun comments from my recruiters. I wrote down a couple of notes of what they said that they wrote down for me. But again, slowing down about what are the carriers looking for. Let's jump into safety. That's probably more toward the top than you think. So the initial things that my recruiters see are the job hoppings and the discharges and the abandonments. But at the end of the day, once you go through all of that, our safety department, there's nobody that's going to be more critical of looking at drivers' safety habits. Frankly, we don't really care if it's in a personal vehicle or a commercial vehicle. We understand that there's a lot of guidelines that are out there that separate the difference between the two. But I'll tell you, at Anderson Trucking, a safety behavior is what we're looking for. And so the drivers that kind of buck our systems with the forward-facing cameras only, the accident mitigation, the training that we try to do to try to make sure that our drivers know what their behaviors are on the road so they can adjust those behaviors to get themselves out of trouble. We want those drivers that want to embrace all of the tools that we can give to them. These are all investments that the organization is making in your success. So if you're not coming in with a really solid safety consciousness to where that safety is really, the minute you jump in that truck, you put on your seatbelt, you turn that key, and you're getting ready to pull out on those public roads, hands down, safety has got to be number one. Because, there's always a joke about, it's not really a joke, but there's a saying within Anderson Trucking that there's no load that's so hot that won't cool down in a ditch. I love that saying. It was actually the saying of our founder, Harold Anderson. And so that is where our philosophy comes from. But really think about that. There is no load so hot that won't cool down in the ditch. And it explains itself pretty well, in my opinion. What do we got? As a driver, I am starting to see more trailers being torn up and no one reporting. How can we fix that? So Chad, thank you. Again, we call this Ask Us Anything because we want to talk about these. This kind of falls back in line of everything I'm talking about right now, Chad. The reality is the drivers that are coming on board with us, they have to understand that what they're doing, they leave a trailer that's got bad mud flaps, it's got a flat tire. They know that if they report that into us, that our maintenance crew is going to get that fixed so that next driver does not have to inherit that. And it's actually kind of sad. It's no different than you guys have seen the dollars that we put into our driver facilities, to our driver lounges. We've got these free washers and dryers. We've got these beautiful TVs and recliners. And you get these drivers that come through and just destroy the place with these amenities that we're trying to put out there for your guys' just quality of life. And you get a couple of the few bad ones that just won't follow the rules. Sometimes you guys got to help each other be accountable to that. But Chad, the only way that gets better is we push it. I think you would agree that you see OmniTrax messages on a regular basis coming across about the importance of reporting damaged equipment to make sure that the next driver doesn't have to inherit it. So it really just comes down to, it's not a lack of mechanics. It's not a lack of resources to get these things fixed. It's just simply a lack of the drivers reporting. We got thousands of you out there. And if you're not calling and reporting that something happened, it makes it really challenging for us to be able to overcome that. So I appreciate you asking that question. I wish I had a better answer other than if each driver that was under a load, every time you picked up a trailer and you did your pre-trip inspection, and then you go to the consignee and you drop that trailer and you know that there's an issue with that trailer, that the best thing to help each other is if you call and report that in, so that next driver that goes to pick it up is picking up something that's functional for them. So I hope that that helps. That's you talking to me. Okay, I guess I got a side little comment internally here, you guys. Realistically, the fundamentals are really simple. So kind of going through this again, I really want to say it's extremely common sense about what a carrier is looking for new drivers coming on board. So again, to summarize it, really pay attention to not moving around too much, because the job changes are going to be a factor. And of course, our fear as a carrier is we've got to go back and look at the last 3 years, and we have to get verifications per the DOT from everybody that you work for. It doesn't matter who it was. And every time that you've got a job change, there is that chance that we're going to get a report back of an accident. We're going to get a report back of a termination. We don't know what we're going to get back. So, when we've got that driver that's got that 5, 6, 7, 8 job changes, the risk of that is so much greater. But put yourself in our eyes. If that's been happening, there's been no longevity that's been shown throughout your time. We're looking at this of saying, we're just going to be next. And we're not looking to, a statement that I use all the time is, I'm not looking to rent a driver. I'm looking for that professional long-term driver. I'm hoping to find those drivers that want to be here 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. And to do that, we've got to be on our A game, but to get here, you have to be on your A game. So hopefully that makes sense. Missing anything here yet, Samantha?
No, you're doing good.
Good. So the job hopping, trying to give a little bit of an explanation of why that's so important. Again, the truck abandonments and the discharges. There are things that happen, but the truck abandonments, folks, there's no excuse for that. And you know what? If something happens, there's always some excuses of what happened. And I'm not going to say excuses. There are always situations and circumstances. And we've had drivers come in that show us messages that they actually termed. They were told to leave their truck at the shop. What I will tell you is if you're leaving a truck anywhere other than an authorized location, document it really, really well. Slow down enough to take pictures of the Qualcomm messages, of your text messages, to show that you were told to go ahead and leave the truck there, and that truck abandonment is not something that's being reported to you wrongfully, because it does happen. So we're going to always hear your side of it and do our research to see what we can find out. But if you are kind of put in a situation where you have no choice but to leave the truck other than a authorized location, be smart enough to take a lot of photos, document it, get pictures, take screenshots, so you can provide that. And frankly, so you can dispute it. If they do report it as a truck abandonment, you can do a data queue and dispute that literally with the DOT actually, to have that reversed so it doesn't hurt you on your consumer reports. So going along, are we allowed to put a bracket on the headache rack for a ladder? So Greg, that's a good question. I don't think that there's an issue for that safety wise. You might, I'm not sure if you're in a lease truck or a company truck, As long as it's not something, I'm not going to make the decision right now. I can't see why you could not put a bracket on there. On the leased piece of equipment, though, any modifications made have to be corrected back to its original state. So if it's a lease truck, I would call our CES, our leasing arm, and ask them what you're allowed to do. If it's a company truck, I would be calling the shop or your fleet manager. And I didn't put this out there earlier, and Samantha, you'll put this out for me. But Greg, if between your fleet manager or CES, if you are leasing a truck, what I'll tell you is my email address is Joe, Joe at atsinc.com. If you don't get an answer about the bracket, drop me an email, and I would absolutely make sure I get you in touch with somebody tomorrow to make sure that we get you that answer. It seems like it makes sense to me. I think the only concerns are they don't like you guys drilling holes into things that can't be reversed for that next driver getting to the truck. Okay, so hopefully that answers it. So I think we're pretty much caught up on the questions. So kind of going back again, I'm not going to spend too much time, but trying to summarize the job changes, gave a pretty clear explanation of why that's such a big deal. The truck abandonments and discharges. Truck abandonments, you guys are in control of. Discharges, you're kind of in control of, but just know that we're concerned about the companies that continually would let a driver go for whatever company policy violations or whatever. So try to keep your nose clean on that. And then one of our recruiters, Holly, I really appreciate this one, but again, really taking the time to know what's on your consumer reports, and that's primarily your MVR, your PSP, what's being reported, so you know what's on your record for suspensions and moving violations and so forth. So just stay on top of your own records, and so nothing comes to you as a surprise. Basically, other than that, I'm going to have to just say, know what your career path is going to be. Do your research. I cannot stress enough to everybody. Doing your research, there's nothing second to that at all. You've got Google, you've got Glassdoor, you've got Indeed, you've got all these social media sites that you can go to. You can just go to Anderson Trucking, you can go to Drive for ATS, you can go to ATS Inc. But you're going to find drivers that work for us, and take the time to ask the questions. If you have the opportunity, take the time to pull them off to the side of the road and really ask them, what's it take to be a successful driver here at Anderson Trucking Service? What's their experience really been like? How do we handle problems and situations? So again, take the time to do your research. There's so much good information out there for you guys to make really good decisions. And so other than that, and take your time, take your time on really defining what it is you're looking for. So when you're calling that next carrier, you can be very specific on what your expectations are of the carrier, and ask the carrier what their expectations are for you to be a successful driver. So I'm hoping I've kind of kept that pretty simple. We're at 30 minutes, a lot of chatter going on, but not a whole lot for questions directly for me on this topic. So I'm gonna cover a couple of other just things to let you guys know kind of the state of the union at ATS as far as how our freight is going. Like to just make sure everybody knows, is freight good? Are the rates holding up? What are our company drivers making? What are our lease operators making? So at the end of the day, I'm going to cover a little bit of that. But if you're watching, or if you watch this later and it's you're seeing the recorded side, folks, please get us your questions, because again, we are doing this for the sole purpose of making sure we're answering all your questions, and we want to do it transparently. And again, we do that on a public ATS live session. We've got our active drivers on. We've got some drivers on that are checking us out. But we do this so we can just have a solid, straight answer for no matter who's watching it. You guys can go back 25 weeks. This is the coolest part about this, I love, is that knowing that we've been doing this 25 weeks in a row, you can go back and watch any one of these live sessions. It's documented, it's on the record. There's no way for us to not put ourselves into a corner. We like the fact of the transparency we have here. So before I conclude here, it's going on about 7:30, about half an hour right now. What I will say is the pay, you folks, guys, it is just continually to be the best that I've ever seen. I didn't say this before, but my name on the front end, my name is Joe Gehring. I think a lot of you guys know who I am already, but I'm the Vice President of Recruiting. I'm in my 31st year here at Anderson Trucking. I have never seen freight rates the way we're seeing them right now. We used to talk internally about we really got to make sure we're getting our company drivers to make at least $1,500. I mean, that's the number we got to get to. And so many carriers were hovering around that $1,000 to $1,200. Well, folks, we've surpassed that to where that $1,500 is probably at the lowest end of our graph right now, to where our company drivers are making that well into the $2,000 range. And our independent contractors, after all fixed expenses, they're already in the mid 2000s, going up into the mid 3000s after all fixed expenses. The earnings are second to none right now. The rates are not going down. Where we believe that the rates are going to stay solid into at least the second, if not third quarter of 2022. So if you're looking at making a move right now, now is the time. What I would ask you to do is take the time to go to Drive for ATS. We got a lot of information there. Look at a lot of the program information that we have within the website. But probably most importantly, a website doesn't do anything other than give you some initial information. Call our recruiting department. Talk to one of our recruiters. Make sure that they're on their toes. I've got a very, very good staff that want to take the time to understand. I call them driver consultants because it's part of their job sometimes is to tell the driver we're not for them. We want to make sure that we're consulting every driver we talk to know that we're going to be the right fit for you, and that you're going to be the right fit for us. And statistically, just so you're aware, we actually do turn away about 95% of the applicants. So our guidelines are not the easiest in the world, but if you're in that top 5% and you're meeting that top 5% of the qualifications, yeah, you should be pretty proud of that, and we're proud of you for that. And you're the driver we're looking for. And so these couple of things that we just went through, again, we talked about the discharges, the moving violations, the safety aspect of, obviously to just make sure that the whole package of your resume is looking good. But at the end of the day, if you hold those professional skills, that's what carriers are looking for. They want to see a very steady, steadfast driver that demonstrates their professionalism out there doing the job with the prior carriers that they've had. Is that something you highlighted for me, Samantha?
Yeah, that's just a chunk of Noah's testimony that I think is nice to hear.
Yeah, well, and listen, between, a lot of you guys, Noah and Chad and all you guys that have been coming on regularly with us, listen, you're our testimony. All I can say is you guys are our testimony. We appreciate you taking the time to write these comments. Folks, if you're a driver for ATS and you've not given us a review, begging you, go out there and give us a review, because that's the only way that the new drivers that are watching this can really hear from you on what your experience has been. Any word on driver appreciation? Noah, we have got so much stuff lined up for driver appreciation. You think I'm going to let the cat out of the bag? You're crazy. All I will tell you is you will not be disappointed. So mark my word on that. But driver appreciation is not something we ever let slip under the covers. You'll be experiencing something every day of that week. You might be hearing from me personally, but I'm thinking you'd probably rather hear from maybe someone with the name of Anderson versus Gehring, right? So 100%, we're definitely ready to roll on that. So yeah, Terry, exactly. It's a secret. But wait for it. But we've been having a lot of fun with what we're doing this year, especially with everything with COVID. But I'm glad you're excited about that and anticipating it, but not prematurely. We appreciate you guys, and we're hoping that we can show that during that week. But anybody who's married out there, you have an anniversary or something like that, or Valentine's Day, that's a nice day to celebrate, but the appreciation never goes away. And just hope you guys know that we really feel that way for you. So yeah, Paul, thanks for jumping out on that one. So you guys, we're kind of wrapping up on the end of this real quick, but like I said, our earnings have been fantastic. The time has never been better. We've really have actually gained quite a few really good drivers here. The last couple of months, I will tell you that our trucks are getting full, and so we get to continue to be quite selective on the drivers that we're bringing on board with ATS. But if anything that we talked about tonight resonates with something that is important to you, I'm telling you right now, you're the driver we want to be hearing from. These are the things that are important to us, and we try not to slip from our values. You guys will hear a lot of really cool acronyms that we use here, like iDrive, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. But we just really value the integrity, determination, responsibility R-I, innovation, values, and excellence. I think I got that right.
Nice job.
But that's ingrained in us, and I just want to tell you, Sean, it says you'll call us tomorrow. Fantastic. You've got my email personally. If you don't get a hold of one of the recruiters, you've got my email further up on the script, but it's just joe@atsinc.com. Really appreciate our active drivers taking the time to participate. I can't thank the drivers that are checking out our programs for taking the time to do their research. You've heard me stressing tonight that there's nothing more valuable than taking the time in your decision and knowing what you're about to do, and knowing the company you're about to go to. So just want to thank everybody now for joining us for ATS Live. Next week, we will be having one, maybe two fleet managers joining us. I'm still kind of struggling with getting requests from the viewing audience on what you would like the topics to be. There is nothing off limits. I kind of, frankly, I'm almost to the point I might even give a contest to whoever gives me the top two most creative discussion topics, to where you get like $100 gift card from me, of talking about things that you just don't hear trucking companies talk about. So if you got any ideas, throw them my way. So everybody, Anderson Trucking Service saying thank you very much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderfully safe night. Take care.